I'm over here at the Google Cloud Platform Pricing Calculator. Now, this is a calculator where you can go to and estimate the cost of services based on a config that you enter. Now, on this exam, you can expect a question or two around pricing. Now, the pricing calculator, a couple things to point out, is going to be structured a little differently, of course, based on the service. Now, Compute Engine isn't a managed service, so it's a little different. So there's a lot more options here. But on the exam, one of the things I did actually run into was around BigQuery. Now, with BigQuery, it's important to understand that this service is a managed service. However, there's two ways that you could structure the subscription to the service. You have an on-demand approach where you basically put in the table name and then basically put in an amount of storage. Let's say 1,000 gigabytes, how much streaming you're going to have. And of course, you want to get the right information to get, a good estimate. Now, again, if you have a really active data warehouse, big data service that you're using, then, again, I mean, it's going to sort of come up and give you some structure about different options. In this case here, you can see that I exceeded a threshold, and basically they're saying that you would probably be better to go with the flat rate. Now, the flat rate is going to be really useful in the sense of being committed to the service, and the rate is about probably 40% cheaper overall. If you go to flat rate, you could see that they have different plans, and you want to select the right plan based on, of course, how you want to scale. And again, it's a flat rate. The storage itself, again, is going. Now, this says the plan info. You can see here, you have to put in the storage separately and then add it to the estimate. Now, once again, it'll, of course, populate with the estimate based on the pricing. You can see down here, 70,000 per month for the flat rate. And, again, you could play around with the flat rate, or you could play around with the on-demand as well. And you can see that the on-demand is almost the same. It looks like, a lot of it really depends on what you put in to compare, of course. But the main thing I want to point out is for the exam, make sure you understand that BigQuery has two different subscription approaches, on-demand and flat rate. Be aware, too, that you may need to add storage to the BigQuery service. It's not included in the plans. There is a minimum amount included, but again, if you're going to exceed that, you need to make sure you put it in for the estimate. Also, too, I would highly recommend you take a look at cloud storage and understand how the pricing changes, for example, especially when you look at Europe or the US versus each other versus Singapore. Play around with this, and it'll be pretty intuitive to see the pricing, scale when you actually start configuring this. Now, the pricing calculator, again, expect a question or two on that. The one I seen was really related around BigQuery. Make sure you do know the pricing calculator and how to price the BigQuery service. And I would recommend you take a look at Compute Engine, App Engine as well. Now, App Engine, I just want to point out, has two environments. Be aware that the standard environment is based on instances per hour, whereas a flexible environment is going to be based on several other factors. So you might want to play around with this and just determine if you understand how the pricing actually works. Once again, main goal of this demo was to make sure that you are aware of pricing calculator, and I did want to point you to BigQuery to pay special attention to that. Let's move on to the next module.